recordy button. We are recording. Right. Hello and welcome to Call of Cthulhu. Obviously we've done the character creation session, so you guys sort of know what you're doing, hopefully. But obviously new system, we're all learning. I will say Call of Cthulhu is a lot easier to learn than Pathfinder or even 5e. It's pretty basic. It's basic bitch system. But I will also remind you that we're not playing D&D and your characters aren't heroes and you could fucking die very easily if you make reckless decisions. So bear that in mind. It's if you try and fight stuff without thinking about it, like if you just run in like you would in D&D and get surrounded, you're dead. Like it's a brutal game, or potentially brutal. But with that in mind, I will begin by reading the little intro that I read at the end of the character creation. So, we begin at the end. Many years into the future, though one cannot be certain how many, 4 figures gather around the hospital bed of one Rupert Merriweather. This man has been a friend, confidant, mentor, benefactor, and patron to each of the figures. However, he is also the one who began them down this path ever since that night. A path that has taken their minds to places they could not dream of, and a path that has made them seen that which they wish could be unseen. Mr. Merriweather has beckoned the 4 all here on a dying request. Yet each of the 4 figures currently stands formless. The end may lie here, but the journey is not yet written. And so, our story brings us back to that night, to a night in Arkham, Massachusetts, in the good old year of 1923, at the Esoteric Gala, hosted by the Society for the Exploration of the Unexplained. A night that would change many a life, forever. And so I will move you over. So, the moon hung low in the sky, casting an ethereal glow upon the sprawling mansion nestled in the heart of Arkham, Massachusetts. This was no ordinary manor, but rather a place of intrigue and mystique. A sanctuary for those with a penchant for the supernatural. As the clock struck 8, guests began to arrive for the much-anticipated Esoteric Gala. The grand doors of the mansion creaked open, revealing a sight that left many in awe. The interior was adorned with exotic artifacts and ancient relics, all hinting at the mysterious and otherworldly nature of the evening's proceedings. The air was thick, with the scent of incense and candles flickered in every corner, casting a dim yet alluring ambience throughout the room. The guests were dressed to the nines, donning their finest attire in hues of black, gold, and crimson, each eager to partake in the secrets that the night held. There were a number of hosts, each high-ranking members of the society, each who welcomed the guests, beckoning them further into the mansion. Some heard whispers of an otherworldly presence, and the promise of an evening filled with dark magic and maybe even some sorcery. Yet the most discerning guest could tell this night was more concerned with greasing different partygoers' pockets than conducting seance or tarot readings. And so we find ourselves, as our camera spans through the central hall with many a table, many a circular round table, with candles and glasses, drinks and foods, long rectangular tables, all with a delicious buffet of many different foods and things that might catch your fancy. Dark chocolate truffles, witches' fingers, these breadsticks shaped into the shaped to look like a fingernail wrapped in prosciutto or another type of cured meat or ham. Ghostly meringues that are light and airy, made with a whipped egg whites and sugars and vanilla extract, and picking amongst with their small china plate, we join our first character, a middle-aged man with a grey waistcoat, a black tie, is slowly picking a number of different bites to place atop his plate, and as he does, his large form, it bumps into the side of a much more petite blonde woman in a beautiful dress. Could I have Tom and Anya please describe their characters for me?
Milton Butterfield is an unassuming gentleman, quite broad. He's got a paunch. He wears spectacles high up on his nose. They look like they've perhaps been repaired a few times. A somewhat pleasant face. He looks worn and weary and well lived in. His version of doing people dressing up for this would be he would have got out on his fancy tie instead of his normal work tie, which would be black with perhaps a grey embroidery to it that his wife's done for him. He'd be looking around, very unsure of himself, kind of nervously glancing and clutching his little plate of hors d'oeuvres to his chest just above his paunch. But yeah, he looks thoroughly out of place. The kind of working stiff you'd see in an office. Expect to see behind a desk, not at a glamorous shindig.
Brilliant. And Anya, if you'd like to describe your character, this broad Milton Butterfield has just knocked into your character whilst picking at the buffet.
Well, if Milton Butterfield looks out of place, or thoroughly out of place, as you say, Tom, at this party, then Trala looks the complete opposite. She looks like exactly the kind of star 1920s on the right, person on the right, star on the fucking hell, Jesus, sorry. Trala, she looks like the exact 1920s star on the rise that you'd expect from a glamorous party. She is tall and very slender, again the opposite of Milton, and very, very beautiful with bleach blonde hair, but the cracks are starting to set in. You can see, if you speak to her and look closely enough, the lines that are starting to appear around her eyes and at the corners of her mouth. They're only very faint. She's not old by any chance, but she's not, a young ingenue anymore. And the look of tiredness around her eyes and the dark roots that are starting to come through up behind the bleach blonde hair. She's there to make connections. She is an incorrigible flirt you'd see from observing her, but you can see between her attempted flirtations with different men, the facade cracks, and you can see how tired she is of maintaining it.
Fantastic. And what does Milton say to this this beautiful woman, despite the cracks beginning to show, as he bumps into her and suddenly he slightly comes forward with his plate and Tala, can you please we're going to have you roll the first roll of the campaign. Could you look on your character sheet for me and make a dodge roll for me?
Mm-hmm.
It will be under your skills and it will be on the left-hand side, about halfway down. You should just be able to, if you turn off edit mode in the top right as well, you should be able to, just click on the word and then it will, roll it for you. What the fuck? I mean...
Oh, nice.
So, this is a good
A good start.
That's a very good start. So, I'll explain how the rolling works quickly in Call of Cthulhu for Hannah and Anya. So, with Call of Cthulhu, you are not rolling a d20, you are rolling a d100. And if you look at your skill, so for example, in this case, Tala Ray has a dodge skill of 25. You are trying to roll under that number. If you roll under that number, just say if she rolled a 24, it'd be a regular success. But if you rolled under half your score, so in Tala's case, a 12 or lower, would be called a hard success. So you've done particularly well at it. But in this case, because you've rolled not only under a fifth of that score, so anything of, in this case, a 5 or under, I think that's correct, yeah, 5 times 5 is 25, I can do maths. In this case, you rolled a 1, which is even better and an absolutely extreme success. You get an even better level of success. So there's degrees of success in this game, basically, is what I'm saying. And in this case, Tala gets a critical success as she swiftly moves out the way of Milton, who has spilled the remainder of his buffet plate onto the floor now. But Tala's dress,
cocktail.
Yeah, the prawn cocktail, unfortunately, is no longer not long for this world anymore. But thankfully, Tala's dress remains remains clean. What does Milton say?
Oh, he would be immediately flustered. He'd like half reach towards Tala as if assuming he had got stuff on her, and then just be like, "Oh, ma'am, I'm really sorry, miss." And then he'd pull his arms back in and just say, can I help you? Are you okay?"
I don't know, mister. Can you help me? What the fuck is this already?
I didn't get anything on you at all, did I? It was awful clumsy of me.
No, I'm perfectly clean.
Good. Well, how are you enjoying your evening?
Better until some strange guy tried to spill stuff on me.
Yep. I would imagine. Yep, that works. Well, I won't darken your doorstep anymore. I'll just go stand over here.
Before that, Tom, she wouldn't have let you get that far.
Yep.
She'd have stuck out a hand and been like, "Tala Ray, nice to meet you."
Oh, and he'd like wipe his hand on his trousers. and hold it out. Just say, Milton Butterfield. Milton Butterfield is my name.
Oh, two questions. First one would be, which hand does he stick out to shake?
It would be whatever, because if she stuck out a hand, he'd have to match it, right?
Well, that doesn't help me.
Right.
Okay. Then continue.
Yeah, so he'd stick out his hand as well. Just be like, Milton Butterfield, you look very, glamorous, Well, you look very glamorous.
Thank you, Mr. Butterfield. I don't know what this accent is changing by
It's
degrees.
great.
Yeah. No need to doubt your accents. You're good at them.
Keep going. Oh, well, not according to my Scottish colleagues. Anyway, turns out I love crumpets. It's really hard to stay in a Scottish accent. Anyway, well, Mr. Butterfield, I've forgotten what I was going to say now.
Wow.
Go
Go
ahead.
You look like a fish out of water, Mr. Butterfield.
Yeah, usually by now I'd have be reclined in my chair with, sitting with my wife, talking through the day. This is, very fancy people here, and, not quite sure what I'm meant to be doing or saying to any of them.
I see. Well, I would suggest just, sit back and relax and let whatever the evening holds come to you. And she'd look up through her eyelashes at him as she says that.
He'd go immediately bright red, in total contrast to his grey hair.
As you're standing there going completely red, Milton, you hear someone clear their throats behind both of you, and you sort of startle around, and you see a very well-dressed, older-looking gentleman with a big, round, sort of bushy moustache, quite very slim. He looks probably to be in his mid to late 60s. He is wearing a monocle, and he's got like a black kind of tailcoat on, and he says, Mr. Butterfield, could I get you another prawn cocktail, or perhaps you'd be more interested in some of our deviled eggs?
Oh, that's incredibly kind of you. I will have both. Is that okay?
Absolutely. And you, Miss Ray, can I get you yourself anything?
Another martini, if you wouldn't mind.
Absolutely. Coming right up. I'll make sure someone cleans up this mess for you, Mr. Butterfield. Don't you worry. And he kind of places a hand on your shoulder, and then he sort of for quite a slight man, he's got a fairly sort of heavy grip. And then he sort of goes in and he goes in to shake your hand, and he's like, Mr. Rupert Merriweather, just to make your acquaintance, Mr. Butterfield.
Oh, a pleasure to meet you, sir. Are you, do you work here?
In a matter of speaking, sir, I'm one of the heads of the society. It's always great to see new members who find their way through these halls.
Oh, Lord, I'm sorry, I've made a fool of myself. A pleasure, sir, and he'd do like a kind of subservient little head bow.
Oh, please, Mr. Butterfield, none of that in my presence. I'm just happy to serve as host this evening and make everyone feel welcome and comfortable. There's plenty of entertainment around. You can see some of our fortune tellers and psychic demonstrations going on in some of the other rooms, and perhaps we'll even see a seance later tonight.
his eyes would be like wide like saucers at this point, and he kind of looks over to Tala, like, help.
And then he sort of turns to Tala and he says, "And my, Miss Ray, may I just say that you are looking quite fabulous this evening. Extremely glamorous."
Why, thank you. It does a girl good to make some effort coming to a party like this.
Well, quite, and, well, you've made it almost look effortless, I have to say.
Almost. Well, I suppose I'll have to take that.
He sort of smiles and says, I did not mean no offense, of course. You look absolutely stunning, and I will go get that martini for you before I make more of a fool of myself. Please make yourselves all comfortable. Can you both, as Mr. Merriweather is talking to you, I both need you to make hard either psychology checks or spot hidden checks.
Oh.
So a hard would have to be half your skill in either of those skills.
Can we use the toggles at the top?
You can indeed, yes.
Roll option hard.
Yeah. And then it will say if it's a success or not.
Spot hidden. Damn.
Okay,
for
it was
Milton.
Psychology or what?
Or spot hidden.
Spot hidden.
And it is a hard check.
Psychology. Oof.
Yeah, so this is a good time to explain a couple of rules. They probably aren't relevant here, but it's a good time to explain since you both failed some checks. There are two mechanics in Call of Cthulhu. One is called pushing the roll. So when you attempt a skill check and you fail that skill check, you can choose to attempt a different method that you would have to describe to me to get a re-roll. However, you come in with the mindset of, whilst you get this re-roll, if you fail this re-roll, there are guaranteed negative consequences. So that's something you can do in Call of Cthulhu if you want to push the roll. You can also spend your luck points to turn failures into successes, which is something else you can do. It's on a one-to-one basis. So in Tala's case, you'd need to spend almost 26 points of luck to get that up to a success. So probably not in this case. But that's something to just keep in mind whilst we're playing that you can choose to do. But I will remind people as we go on. Anyway, you both don't notice as you're sort of caught off guard by one of the founders of the society approaching you and both seeming to know your name without you introducing yourselves. Curious. But he quickly makes his exit to fetch you your food and drinks, and the camera pans over to another section of the esoteric gala where we find one of our psychic demonstrations. You see a man with a widow's peak in a very fancy suit and blindfolded as he holds a number of 2 teaspoons in either hand, and a small crowd gathers round him. We see the man blindfolded. You see in one of his left hand the teaspoon at the top. It slowly begins to bend, and the crowd claps. And but our camera focuses in on a large man in a balding man with a moustache in a sort of a beige kind of trench coat, or perhaps he wouldn't be wearing it for this. But
You would.
He would. Okay, brilliant. A large beige trench coat. Kieran, if you'd like to describe your character to the group.
Yeah. Augustus, or Augine Edgett, is a behemoth of a man. He's probably about 6'5". He is as portly as he is tall. He's wearing classical gumshoe, like detective wear. And I imagine he'd probably be leaning against whatever the closest thing is to support his bulk. He's got a very worn and lined face. The years have not been kind to Oggy. But he's just surveying the room, watching people. He's probably got a little hip flask of whiskey, which he would have illegally obtained somewhere. And occasionally he'd just be sipping on that and glaring around the room.
And as you glare around the room, your eyes sort of glancing over the scene of this psychic demonstration. Almost, I imagine Oggy barely paying mind to it, as he's not impressed by such trivialities, if I'm correct in my assumption.
He's more watching everyone else.
However, despite your keen senses, there is one man you miss amongst the group. A man so plain that even you, as you're standing there, compared to you, a much smaller man standing at perhaps in my head, Hannah, I want to say 5'9", because I think that's the average.
I just googled what the average was in 1920.
Oh, brilliant!
And it's 5'7".
5'7", so standing at 5'7", even shorter. Sort of looks up at you and says something in the effect of what a excellent demonstration. Hannah, if you'd like to describe your character and tell us what he says to Oggy as he sort of looks up at this behemoth of a man after witnessing a spoon bend in front of him.
So, as you can imagine, Joe Brown, very average looking man. He would resemble what an average man would have looked like in the 1920s. So he's got short, slicked back hair with a hat. Can't remember what the hat's called. Whichever that hat is in the picture. He does have a little moustache, a little one. It's probably not as thick as in the picture. Probably covers maybe half his lip on both sides. He's probably got a very plain clothing. He's got this brown sort of long suit on. It's kind of a little bit too big for him, to be honest. Maybe his mum thought he'd grow a bit bigger, but didn't. He's got brown trousers on, just really plain clothes. He's got very old, very boring brown shoes. I'm trying to think of something unique for him.
Brown in appearance, brown in personality, we could describe him.
Exactly.
And brown in name.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I don't think he's got no accessories. He's not really wearing anything that stands out at all. Yeah, very plain guy. And as he's looking up to Oggy, he'll just mention about a spoon show?
Yes, it's a psychic exhibition. There's this man in the middle now. The crowd still clapping as he with the blindfold still on, bends the other teaspoon in which he's holding 2 teaspoons in each of his hands. 1 teaspoon in each hand, and he's bent the one between his thumb and his finger in his left, and then proceeds to bend the top of the one without moving it, without moving in his right.
Well, okay. So as if from nowhere, Oggy.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Brown appears from below you, just sort of almost nudging into you. Well, if I could do something like that, that's very impressive.
Spoon doesn't have much use. I prefer this. And he taps his side and shows him his gun under his trench coat.
Well, that's a very impressive gun. I've got one in my car. They're pretty similar.
Is it American?
Well, I don't know if it's American, actually. Maybe.
Better not be any of those British-made carbines.
Well, I'll have to go and check the make when I get back.
You look like a
Well,
good sort. Fine, upstanding American man.
well, I would say so. I drive taxis for a living.
That's what I like. Like American
Well,
president, it's not like that goddamn tap. He stole the election from good old Roosevelt.
no, exactly. Yeah, very good. Talking about politics is very good for the brain. Do you? I see you're a man of alcohol yourself. Well, I like a good beer.
So, you ever had a good American-made whiskey?
I can't say I have. Beer is my usual choice.
Augie would look around. He'd take out his hip flask. He'd be like, want a ship?
Yeah, I'll have a bit. Yeah. He takes the sip. I assume you give him some.
Yeah.
Yeah. He takes a sip and you can see his face sort of drop a little bit with a more unusual taste. He usually just has very plain things, as you might imagine.
Yeah,
Brown though.
how often does Joe illegally take part in the drink? I will remind everyone it's the Prohibition era.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. There is obviously
Okay.
lots of speakeasies though, so it's not definitely not that hard to come by alcohol. I would think.
No, it wouldn't be.
Yeah, probably not often.
Yeah, definitely. I think in that case, then, if it's not often, let's have Joe Brown roll a little Constitution roll, shall we?
Oh, yeah, go on then. And how do I roll it?
It won't be one of your main statistics at the top for
You
Constitution.
might need to turn edit made off.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yep. There we go.
A success. So, not quite a hard success. If you got a 25, it would have been a hard success. It would have been half under your skill. But as regular success, you take the whiskey. It's strong, probably too strong for you, and you make your face into a little sour expression. But you sip it back, and it warms you.
Quite
Okay,
quite a drink.
a few more bowls of that and you'll get used to it. It's American, did I say? Made here in the good old US of A.
Well, very important to be made in America, yep.
Oh, don't want to be having any of that Scottish whiskey. Or as they call it, Scottish.
Got it.
What's looks him up and down. What's a fine average American doing in a place like this?
Well, I don't know. What are we doing here, Natalie? I can't remember what this is. This is a gala.
You are here for the esoteric gala.
Esoteric.
As you've looking to join the Society for the Exploration of the Unexplained, or perhaps you're just you're looking to join it in some capacity, or for whatever reason, your reasons are your own.
Okay. Well, my grandma said I need to get out more, so here I am. It sounded interesting on the flyers.
Right, did sound interesting. I'll just keep here, keeping my ear to the ground. If you spot anything interesting, there may be a nickel in it for you. I don't have much money.
Well, that's a bit of a cab drive. Well, I've seen plenty of interesting things already. You know, all the buffet things. I don't normally see half of the food on there. And this show itself very interesting. And well, all these new drinks I haven't tried yet. Well, it's a whole new experience for me. I think you'll find.
I did notice the Belgian chocolates. Can't have them after the war, you know. Doesn't seem right.
Oh, that's right. And then the war, yeah. I mean, I did try some earlier. It was very nice.
I had my last Belgian chocolate in Liège. Not having any more.
What about American chocolate? They must have some here.
If they've got a good bar of Hershey, I'll be glad to gobble that down. And he pats his large bulbous stomach.
And as you pat your stomach, Oggy, another cough from behind, as we see from behind the same elderly gentleman with the monocle and the black tailored suit, says, Well, Mr. Nadgett, if American...
Lieutenant Nadgett.
Apologies, Lieutenant. If it's American chocolate you're looking for, then you'll really want to try the dark chocolate truffles. They're rich, decadent, and I can assure you that they were made with the finest cocoa powder and black sesame seeds, grown in this fine country of ours itself.
Well, I'd make my way over there if and Mr. He looks at Joe, who doesn't actually know his name yet. Wants to come with me, then I can show him the delights as well.
Well, of course, you're. In fact, I'm heading over there myself now, and you see he's holding a glass of martini and a prawn cocktail in the other hand, and he says, "You're more than welcome to join me, Mr. Brown."
I would be very delighted to join you. It sounds really interesting. Almost as interesting as that time I had that celebrity in my taxi. He was quite the fine gentleman.
Yes, you'll have to regale us with your tales of celebrities in your taxi, Mr. Brown.
Oh, I will. It's very interesting. I'll tell you all about it later.
Perhaps we should try some of the Witch's Brew stew as well. It's a hearty stew made with root vegetables and dark meats as well. Perhaps to your liking, Mr. Lieutenant.
Most things I'll eat if it's amenable and doesn't damage this fine country.
Very well then. Please follow me, good sirs. As he begins to lead you back to the table, and the man, Mr. Merriweather, hands both Tala Ray and Milton their martini and prawn cocktail, respectively, and says, as you're sort of chatting on your way over, he just sort of says, Lieutenant Nadgett and Mr. Brown, please feel free to meet two of our newest members as well, alongside yourselves, Miss Ray and Mr. Butterfield. And Mr. Butterfield, Miss Ray, this is Mr. Joe Brown and Lieutenant Augustus Nadgett.
Mr. Butterfield and I already firmly acquainted.
Evening, Augie.
How's the baseball card collection going, Mr. Butterfield?
Just fine, thank you. How is the old, how are the wounds?
In the psychological wounds or the mortal wounds?
Either's okay.
I'm still breathing, aren't I? Barely.
Oh yeah, nothing will knock you down. But a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Brown. As he holds his hand out towards Joe.
Well, nice to meet you. And he holds out his hand to take yours. He's got a very limp shake.
He would look at Milton and be like, "See, you're getting firmly acquainted here, Mr. Butterfield." As he looks at Tala.
Hardly, Augie. I almost ruined poor Tala's dress, but she was quick, and I just ruined some of the floor instead.
Hope it wasn't anything delicious.
Sadly, prawn cocktail, but Mr. Merriweather has kindly replaced what I so stupidly lost.
Augustus would look at Mr. Merriweather and say, "Are the prawns from New England?"
You've got a keen eye, sir. Right they are.
He'd look at the patch on the floor and be like, "What a waste."
Can I get you one, Lieutenant?
Yes, please, Mr. Merriweather.
He sort of snaps his fingers and calls over to one of the waiters, who sort of looks over and he says, "Could we get another prawn cocktail for the lieutenant?"
Another two.
That'll be another two for the lieutenant here. And Mr. Brown, would you like anything?
But I'd say make that a 3, perhaps, pal. Thank you very much.
Yeah, a 3 it is. And the waiter nods and moves back off towards sort of the kitchen area, and he says, I must say it is such a pleasure to have new members in the society at your first gala. It's an annual event, of course, but well, there's nothing quite like your first.
Well, I hope
My
it's
first one.
something more useful than spoon bending at this thing.
Well, that you mentioned that, Lieutenant, I must admit, I have you all at a bit of a disadvantage. You see, I've familiarized myself with each of you, and you all seem like fine and upstanding folk, and well, I'm afraid a shared acquaintance pointed each of you out to me, and he sort of waves over in a direction, and you each look over and you spot a familiar face. Each a different person to each of you, and a younger man, well, actually, he wouldn't be that young considering he was in the army with Oggy. So how old is Oggy again, Karen?
He's like late 40s, so he would have been in his 40s. He'd have been about 43 when they were in the war.
Okay, so he is quite a bit significantly younger than you then. He's probably about 28, I'd say. Sort of mid to late 20s. Wearing a very sort of pinstripe suit. He's got a nice hat on. Very sort of quite broad-shouldered, very handsome, chiseled jaw, kind of Henry Cavill sort of looking guy, but not quite as sort of tall, probably. Would be standing at about 5'10", 5'11", and you all recognise him to be Josh Winscott. A different man to each of you, but he moves up and he looks to you first, Oggy, and he says, "Lieutenant, it's a pleasure to see you again."
He slaps him on the shoulder with his hefty hand. He's like, "Private Winscott, great to see you. Looking better than ever."
He does like a little salute, and he says,
Oggy would properly salute him back.
Yeah.
Like, almost dropping everything in his hands to do it.
Amazing. And yeah, he looks up at you with a considerable amount of respect, and he says, well, this gala would not be going to wrong voice there. This gala would not be complete without you, Lieutenant. It's a real pleasure.
Fare here is delicious.
And he sort of nods, and he looks over and he says, he looks to you and he says, and of course I can't forget my own personal chauffeur, Mr. Brown.
That's me. Lift any time you like.
He's not joking, you know. He sort of looks around. He says, "He's picked me up at all times, all over the city. He's a #1 stand-up kind of gentleman, Mr. Brown here."
That's right. And I'll take you anywhere you want to go. Same with all of you fine folks.
Well, I'll have to take you up on that, Mr. Brown.
I'll see that you do. I'll give you a nice discount.
You don't need to give me a discount. I support local business.
And he then looks over to the beautiful Miss Ray, and he says, "And Miss Ray, of course, we're close friends, aren't we, Miss Ray?" And there's sort of a slight bit of, in fact, anyone who's not Tala can roll a psychology check for me, just a regular one. It's 2 failures, 3 failures. You don't really get a vibe on this, but Tala would definitely get the sense just naturally that there's a tense atmosphere in the air now that Josh Winscott's here. Of what manner of debt? I don't think we've discussed, but Tala certainly owes Josh Winscott a considerable amount of money. Or Anya, do you have anything in mind that what she might be indebted to Josh with? Perhaps it's not money. Perhaps it's something more personal.
I think both. Personal
Interesting.
and I think it's to do with her brother, but there's also a tense, a long and storied history there between them, where perhaps things have not worked out the way people have wanted them to. So she just like give a sort of arch smile and sort of Mr. Winscott through gritted teeth.
You can just call me Josh Taylor. You're looking absolutely fabulous today. Isn't she, Lieutenant? She's looking absolutely fabulous.
So my man Milton here was making some moves on her.
Of course.
Man his age, I didn't think that was appropriate.
I couldn't forget the last one of the bunch, Mr. Milkton. Milk Toast.
Hello, Josh. How are you doing?
It's a pleasure to see. How long's it been? It's been quite the time, hasn't it?
Since university, Josh. It's a while back now. How did you get on after?
Well, of course, I've now I'm dabbling in making my living writing magazine articles on a variety of different subjects. Even had a few short stories published. He sort of looks to Mr. Merriweather in particular as he says that. And he says, but me and old Milk Toast here, Milkton, Milk and Butter, that's what we used to call him. He was, we used to have a lot of fun back in our university days.
I see you have a fine camaraderie, just like good old boys in the armed forces.
In fact, how old is Milton? Because I might have to slightly age up Josh, I just realised.
I quite like the idea that Milton only got to go to university like later on.
Oh, I
in life.
fucking love that. That's great.
Like he did like loads of interning before someone finally let him into the university.
Oh, that's perfect. I love that.
He's old compared to Josh. But yeah, everyone would see Milton's like glaring at the floor right now, browning down.
Mr. Merriweather sort of cuts in and he says, yes, I don't mean to deceive you folks, but Mr. Winscott came here to me and well, he's been a member of the society and a benefactor as well. Obviously, he comes from fine and wealthy New England stock, don't you, Mr. Winscott? And he said, "Oh, you don't need to try and big me up, Mr. Merriweather. It's appreciated, but and he says, no, it's absolutely fine, Josh. But he pointed the four of you out to me, and he said that you might be each of you interested in a little a venture that me and Mr. Winscott have been discussing.
I'll be honest, Carla would not have let him get that far. As soon as
Oh, go ahead.
he had said about it being Josh that had asked them to invite them, Tala would have walked out.
Oh, okay. What, left the conversation?
Yep. And had tried to walk out the room, the building, whatever.
So as you walk away, Mr. Merriweather would call over to you and just say, "Please, Miss Ray, could I convince you to please listen to my proposal? It could be quite it could be quite beneficial for all involved."
Thank you, Mr. Merriweather, but I'm not sure there's anything you could say to me that would persuade me to try and stay. I will not stay in the room for the machinations of that man.
Well, there's quite a lot of money involved, and perhaps even greater treasures.
Such as what?
Well, and he sort of looks to Josh, and Josh sort of pulls out like a Turkish cigarette and sort of begins sort of lighting it up, and he says, "Well, Josh, why don't you explain a little bit about it?" And he says, "Yeah, of course, Mr. Merriweather. Tyler, I don't want to be no hard feelings between us. I only
It cannot be, Josh."
And he sort of says, "Yeah, I'll get to the point. I see."
Milton is grinning.
You see,
Augustus
sorry,
is
go.
looking annoyed. He's like, let's keep this civil, we're in company.
Joe Brown's just eating prawn cocktail.
You see, my great aunt recently passed away. You remember her, right, Tyler?
Not Aunt Agatha.
Yeah, Aunt Aggie.
Still not enough to make me stay in your presence, Josh.
Well, all I can say, Tyler, is I'm sorry. I really am, and I wanna do right. I old Aunt Aggie, I've inherited her house, and well, I found something. I found something really incredible.
You stole away my brother's life, and you think I'm just gonna go back with you? The sound of your word? You'd have to prove it to me, and then even then, I don't think I'd ever have anything to listen to. I don't think I'd ever listen to anything you had to say ever again, Josh. I'm too used. I've been the victim of your honeyed words too many times.
Mr. Merriweather sort of butts in. He says, "I can assure you, Miss Ray. I have a storied reputation in the society, and well, as one of its founding members, I have personally verified Mr. Winscott's claims. So it would not just be his word; it would be my word as well."
Mr. Merriweather, you got us here under false pretenses, and you lied to us in order to get us to be here. How am I supposed to trust your word now?
I apologize, Miss Ray, as well. I did not miss to deceive you. I was only made aware of each of your presence after you came to the gala. I did not invite you here on any false pretenses beyond that. Mr. Winscott just made me aware of 4 people that may be interested in elevated themselves in society and perhaps earning a considerable amount of cash along the way, and also be involved in the recovery of perhaps some precious artifacts. And
Fine. I think because of the history between your family and mine, I owe you this debt, but if you think that I'm going along with this just for the money, then Josh, I'm not the woman you think I am.
I know, Tala. I didn't mean to imply otherwise. Honest. Well, you see, he takes a little big, like, puff of his Turkish cigar, and he sort of he like as he sort of does, he sort of offers it around to anyone else who wants wants a cigar.
Orky would look at it. He's like, "Not Cuban, is it?"
It's Turkish, Lieutenant.
I'm afraid I'll have to abstain. We fought them back in 1917. Couldn't take it in good conscience after all those men who died.
I understand, sir. You, Mr. Brown? Mr. Butterfield? Milton?
Yes, I'll take part in a small drag.
Orky would just look at Milton and shake his head. Like before he gets an opportunity.
Yeah, Milton would just very kind of stiffly turn up his nose a little bit and just be like, no, thank you, Josh.
There's a good boy.
Well, anyway, I'll get to the point. I inherited old Aunt Aggie's house, and I've been Aunt Aggie. She was you remember her, Tyler? She was kind of losing her mind a little bit in the twilight years of her life. She wasn't quite all there. She, I tried my best, but she was a proud woman, and I tried to help her take care of the place, and, well, she would have none of it. Absolutely none of it. And, the house fell into a bit of disrepair and all that, so, I paid for it to be restored. The place is, got a lot of work still to do, but during the restoration, in the storage cellar, I discovered a bricked up wall, but that was part of it, a brick missing, and curiosity got the better of me, but it covered up what looks like an extensive tunnel. At first I thought maybe an old drainage system, but I found it's connected to like a larger corridor, and I haven't done an awful lot of research, but I came to Mr. Merriweather here. He obviously interested in strange curiosities such as this, and Mr. Merriweather seemed to believe that it might have something to do with the old rumored slave tunnels of old. They said after they made slavery illegal, they some of the dastardly slave owners, they tried to bring the slaves through the tunnels illegally up into Rhode Island.
Orky would shake his head and be like, "Dark stain on our country's history. The Constitution says all men are made equal."
Quite right, Lieutenant. I couldn't agree more. And I dismissed the laborers I'd hired. I wanted to get some more, people I could trust, people in the society. And with Mr. Merriweather's backing, I thought we can explore these tunnels. I've cleared away a little bit more of the entrance. It's accessible now, and Mr. Merriweather believes that there were rumors when the slaves were being transported that over from Africa, that sometimes the slavers, they would bring artifacts with them, and sometimes they'd store them underground in these kinds of tunnels. When they were after they were brought across the sea. So, they found other artifacts and other tunnels all across the different states. Even some of them were they fetched a mighty pretty penny. Isn't that right, Mr. Merriweather? And he says, "Yes, that's quite these two voices. I'm terrible at American accents. I'm going to try and make Mr. Area a little bit more gruff, so it's a bit more distinguishable. But yes, that is my belief that perhaps based on the research that there may be other artifacts such as these in these tunnels. So we want to get some new people in the society, people who we think have got potential, and also earn a bit of cash on the way, and add to the extensive collection. He kind of gestures to around the room where there's numbers of different sort of exotic artifacts that are sort of lying around.
Sounds like an
Rabbit.
interesting adventure for me. And as long as I get to keep coming to more of these galas, it'll be very interesting.
Well, absolutely, Mr. Brown, absolutely. You'll be most welcome. Even more welcome than you currently are. If we can hopefully form a quick friendship, I think, with such a keenly aligned business venture.
Well, precisely. It's good to make connections and things like that.
Exactly, yes. Mr. Butterfield, does the prospect of treasures interest you?
Treasures and highfalutin stories of artifacts and such. I must say my interest is piqued, and it's good to know even the great Josh Winscott needs some help sometimes.
He sort of grins at you with the cigar in his mouth as he does. As you say
You
that.
hear Tala just.
And he sort of looks down kind of sheepishly as Tala kind of...
Yes, I think it sounds like a interesting time, and I'd like to get to know these good people better.
Lieutenant, can I your expertise would go an awful long way.
Private, after what you did at Passchendaele for our boys, I can't say no.
He smiles at that, Mr. Merryweather does, and then he says, Sure I can't, sure this hasn't piqued your interest, Miss Ray?
She just continues sort of like trying to look nonchalant but staring at the floor.
He sort of waits for a response for a moment. Does she continue to stare at the floor quite quietly?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I'll take that as not a no. In this line of work, sometimes you've got to have a bit of optimism and hope for the best. Mr. Winscott, you got the particulars. And he says, yeah, I thought we could maybe meet in about a month's time on the 27th of May. Mr. Merryweather said he'd pay for all of your flights and your stays and whatnot. Just make your way over to good old Providence, Rhode Island.
Augie would look at Joe, and he'd pull out a little card.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, "Seeing as you're a taxi man, feel free to pick me up. I'll pay for you to take me to the old air station."
Sounds good to me. I'll be right there on time.
I expect nothing less, Mr. Brown. I trust in you.
He takes his card and puts it in his little coat pocket. He crunches down on a bit of celery. I'll see you there. And I'll see both of you there as well.
Yes, I'll have to check with the wife. But yes, it sounds fun.
You say you're going collecting, Milton?
She She was the one that sent me here, Augie. I think she might quite enjoy the thought that it's led to something a bit more extended. Keeps me busy.
We all need to keep busy these days. There's far too little going on. Not like back then. He just stares off into space.
It would be useful to have your expertise with us, Miss Ray. If you're willing to overlook Josh's shortcomings.
She'd just be like,
Plus, you make a fine addition to these 3 old corpses walking around. No offense, Mr. Brown.
I'm 40. I don't know what you mean.
Probably best to keep it that way.
Well, Miss Ray, could you stretch to helping out a few old timers?
suppose I could try and lend a hand. Never know. I could probably get into some things that you old boys probably couldn't, but
That's for
as
sure.
long as I'm not doing it for his benefit.
No. And Milton would give quite a pointed glare at Josh.
He sort of nods
I like
in
that
your
Milton
direction.
doesn't even know what the context is. I don't even know what the fucking context is.
I think we might be agreed then.
Sounds
Well,
good.
What other towns we're going? We're going from where to where?
So you're currently based in Arkham, Massachusetts, and you'll be heading to Providence, Rhode Island.
Oh, okay.
So Mr. Merriweather says, "Fantastic! This is brilliant news. Well, I'll fill you in on all the details, but for tonight we can just enjoy the rest of this fantastic gala." And the camera slowly zooms out from this scene and out the door, observing the mansion, up into the night sky, the moonlight shining down, leaving a shadow upon the ground, marking this fateful night where the 4 of you came together. A month passed, though. And during this month, Milton approaches his wife, who encourages him to seek out new ventures. Joe, I imagine, would speak to his grandmother, who also says he should not turn down the opportunity of making new money. Tala perhaps ponders on the situation of working with Josh Winscott, someone she's definitely not keen on, but also Mr. Butterfield seemed nice, and perhaps it's a good idea to make some extra cash, and couldn't hurt. And of course Oggy in his meantime would
Chain smoking at his desk.
yeah, pretty much chain smoking
Going
at his
over old
desk.
case files.
So in a month's time, you all meet as you travel. You all begin your journey towards Providence, Rhode Island, and you're made aware that the house itself that you would meet at is on College Hill, and on a warm late May, a very sunny week, the flight goes without issue, and you land you land perhaps the week beforehand
I will say that Joe Brown would have driven himself
Oh.
there.
Okay, fair enough.
Get on the boat.
Yeah, Joe drives all the way.
Yep.
And yeah, but you've got you get about a week beforehand with Mr. Merriweather's arrangements he's made for you, or perhaps Joe arrives slightly later to that.
Apparently, it only takes 2 hours to get there.
Oh, really? That's pretty good then. So you could drive up on the day if you wanted to, and yeah, Mr. Merriweather would provide a car then in that case, so you wouldn't even need to arrive as early as I thought. So in that case then, this is the point I am going to sort of open up the opportunity for something, because obviously Call of Cthulhu is a investigation game, and whilst you don't strictly need to at this point in the scenario, you may wish to investigate the information behind this particular little mystery. Perhaps some of the more cautious of you might wish to know more about the history of Rhode Island and these slaving tunnels, and more about just
Joe
Winscott
Brown.
and the house itself.
Joe Brown would have definitely looked at some maps of Rhode Island.
Absolutely, yeah, you could have done that. There would have been. Would anyone else have been interested in sort of research and?
Yeah, Augie would have been looking at like the land law, like at behind the building, if he could find it, and working out if these tunnels, like there's any record of them being built anywhere, like anything around the area that might be interesting when that was built, whose a house ownership has passed to, that sort of thing.
Absolutely. So there would be two places you could seek this out, Oggy. You could either go to the John Hay Library, which is the current home of Brown University's library collection, which was opened in 1910. It can be found at 20 Prospect Street. Or you could go a bit more upmarket. So you could go to the Providence Athenaeum. I can never pronounce that word. Which is a private lending library with a which was at 251 Benefit Street. A lot older.
You would have gone to Brown's library because it's cheap.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or free.
So in that case, then, let me quickly check my notes. So there is make a library use roll for me then, please. Okay.
Could I use law, seeing as he's looking at
Absolutely,
the deeds
yeah,
and things
yeah,
like that?
That makes even more sense. Yeah, give me a law check.
Shit.
It's a failure. You do find the information regardless, but it's more of how long it takes you. You spend like a few days sort of slaving away, kind of trying to find this information, and it definitely tires you out more than you expected. The information seems to be quite difficult to find in John Hay Library, and you end up spending a little bit more money than you expected, sort of on cigarettes and food in the local area as you spend a couple of days sort of studying. But what you do learn about the Winscott family and in relation to the house, you learn that the house at 79 Power Street was built by Elijah Winscott, a slave trader in 1796. You learned that he lived in it briefly before becoming ill at which point he retired to the countryside where he died in 1811. After that, Michael Winscott, Elijah's nephew, inherited the house. And with the end of the slave trade, the family's various remaining business ventures, such as textile manufacturing and rum distilling, maintained a good portion of the family's wealth until after the Civil War. With the closing of their textile factory, however, the family fortunes steadily declined. Josh's widowed Aunt Florence lived in Elijah Winscott's home until her recent death, when it was bequeathed to Josh. So that's what you would have learnt from that specifically.
Nothing too weird there.
Florence.
Sorry, because Anya improvised the name, so it would have been Agatha. So sorry, that's the name in the book. But yeah, I went with Anya's improv, so yeah, it would have been Aunt Agatha. Sorry.
Trying
No,
to be on it, it didn't work.
No, absolutely. I couldn't remember the name, so I went with your one. Would anyone else be doing research? Would Tala perhaps looking into more about the slaving tunnels, or it's okay if not?
Because I think she'd probably just put in as minimal effort as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes perfect sense for Tala. What about Milton, Tom?
Milton would specifically be looking at the money situation as an accountant. He'd be trying to pull up any information he can, or try and contact any of his accounting people to see if there's anything weird about money around Josh goddamn Winscott or his family around him. But specifically about the money, which you may have said already from Oggy's.
Yes, you would probably find very similar information based on of that. Let me just quickly double check my notes to make sure that there's nothing extra. Bear with me. Okay, I'll make you make a library use check, because you'll find much of the same information that Oggy found, but I will say with a success there's a chance you could find something extra.
Not accounting?
I'll allow an accounting check.
Woo!
No.
77.
Nice.
Do you want to spend any luck?
Yeah. Is spending luck permanent?
Well, you can recover luck between scenarios, and you can get it as sort of rewards for completing scenarios, but it will... for the scenario, yes.
Sure, I'll spend luck.
Spent 7, so take away 17 luck on your...
Oh, baby, down to lucky number 13.
Okay, so in that case then, you, throughout your search, you find a interesting tidbit of information on top of everything else. It sort of just came up that you found a letter that was addressed to that spoke about in terms of the accounting. It was very much in terms of like wills and stuff this was found in, and it was in regards to Elijah Winscott, the nephew of the original owner of the house. Sorry, Elijah Winscott was the he built that. He was the original owner, and it sort of there was a letter that tells you of his passing, addressed to someone called Philip, and sent by someone called Jacob Bishop. I'll reveal the handout to you, and you're more than welcome to read it aloud if you'd like.
For sure. Ooh, lordy. Providence, I assume that says at the top.
Yes,
January
it does
the
say.
5th, 1811.
I have written it. If you want to scroll down, I've copied and pasted it, so it's a lot easier to read than the...
Very smart. Dear Philip, it is with immeasurable sadness that I tell you that Elijah Winscott has passed from this world and is now in the loving arms of our Lord. We had all known that he was not on good health for some years, in both his body and his spirit. He had made it most hard to know his troubles, for he had quit the company of his fellows. I did visit him in the country house where he had lived for years now. As he lay in his sick bed, he broke his silence and told me a tale that I cannot properly reckon. I do not rightly know if I should tell you it now to you, but I know you worried greatly for our friend. He recalled me that 15 years past he had pondered how we might continue our trade, which has served us so well. The hateful laws against our livelihood and the troubles that beset good John Brown caused him no end of upset. Well, I remember, as you must. Oh, what's that? What's that? Elijah's character and speaking in the tavern during this time. We thought it idle fancy and too much drink. We all of us laughed to hear him speak of how we should dig tunnels neath the town. We did not know then that 'twas not idle fancy altogether. We did not know that he had been making plans in secret. For when the cellar neath Elijah Winscott's home was laid, a tunnel was found. This tunnel did go close to the river, and it was no matter to dig it yet closer. He would use this passage to shepherd slaves to and from the town. All have been set, and Elijah did wait happily in his home for his men to bring him his slaves, but they did not come. When he began to wonder what had kept them, he and the men he had to hand went down to see what they might find. They found death. In straining voice he told me of parts of men strewn like rags across the tunnel, white men and slaves alike. He could not be sure, for he did not linger, but did think that not all men were accounted for, nor did he note anything of the slave women. But where could the others have gone, and what had come for them? The shadows of the caverns did seem to leer at him, keeping the mystery from him. Quickly he returned, and quickly he made walls of strong brick underneath his home and near the river to keep out whatever may be below. He knew no rest from that day forward, certainly not while he remained in that house. All we know then was that he fell ill and spoke no more of schemes to thwart the laws. From his sick bed at the end of his life he said that chasms plunged deep beneath the town he had quit. He peered out his window at the swaying red maple trees and seemed to calm. I can only think that this country house was some peace to him as he breathed his last. May his heirs have better fortune in that house in Providence than he. With sincere esteem, Jacob Bishop. Well, Milton would go a shade of grey as he read that.
Yeah, a bit concerning. But after the research is conducted, you all begin to convene on the house on College Hill. As you come together, I'm going to, before we continue, I'm also going to say that if you look on your character sheets, so if I open up Joe's as an example, on the right-hand side, you'll see under Insanities, it will say indefinitely insane or indef.insane, and it will have a number. So in Joe's case, it is 19.
Oh, yeah.
So from this point onwards, I need you all to keep a track of how many sanity points you lose over the course of this scenario. If you lose a total of 19 over, or in Joe's case 19, it will be different for different people. So if you lose that number, then you will go indefinitely insane, which can be bad. I'll also remind everyone that every time you take, when you take damage, if you take 5 damage or more in a single injury, it will lead to you suffering a major wound, which I won't explain yet, but it can be bad as well. So those are 2 things to keep in mind. But I shall move you over to the next map as we eye up the Winscott house, and I'll read you a little thing. The house on College Hill is a haunting sight. Its 2 stories are overgrown with bushes and trees, obscuring its dilapidation. as you approach, you get the feeling the atmosphere around is suffused with like an eerie stillness. With all your bits and bobs, which there's another thing I've got to say. Obviously, you're heading down to a cellar, and Mr. Merriweather and Josh would have asked if you wanted any equipment for doing so. So if you can think of any equipment that would be relevant, such as rope or anything like that you want to bring with you, then feel free to just add it to your inventories.
Yeah.
So
I feel like Joe has driven up here in his taxi, and he's got all his stuff in the taxi.
Yeah, extra handy. And you would have been provided cars. Mr. Merriweather would have had drivers drive you up Oggy if you chose to. Or if you wanted to drive yourself, you could. Same for Milton, same for Tala. He would have provided all the funds necessary for you to get any equipment you need. Stuff like that. So just have a think of stuff that you might want. And sort of, you don't have to do it right away, but...
Milton definitely would have written to people if he could as well, and shared the information about the letter.
Absolutely.
I feel like we might have met up beforehand, right? To share info.
Yeah.
Yeah, you certainly could have met up beforehand to share any extra info you'd have found. How would that scene have played out? Perhaps you met in a coffee shop before you travelled up here
Oggy would have
together.
invited them to his detective agency.
Oh, brilliant. So, Kieran, please describe to me the scene as we flash back slightly as Oggy invites them. What does the inside of Oggy's detective agency look like?
It's very bare. It's got cracked wooden floors. It's like on the 4th story of a old townhouse. There's a sleeping bag in the corner that is nonchalantly placed there. He's got a few of his prized possessions and photographs on his desk, as well as a typewriter. But otherwise, it looks pretty worn out and bare. There hasn't been much love put into this place. There is paper just strewn across the floor, old notes, and just boxes and boxes of just files and things like that. It's not... He'd have 2 chairs and his own big chair, so there wouldn't be space. Someone would have to stand up.
Milton
Joe
would
Brown will stand up.
Yeah, right. Joe Brown
Both
stands
stand
up.
He'd be like, well, did some digging into the estate situation, but nothing really came up other than the original owner died of a disease, but it's pretty common with the old syphilis that's still going around.
Well, I have some rather more disturbing information. I was asking a few of my colleagues in the accounting profession, and I think it's best if you see it yourself. And he'd hand it to Joe to be handed round so people can read it. But as people are reading it, he'd be kind of explaining it and wringing his hands a little bit and just say, "Sounds rather dramatic, like something from a book."
Oggy, I think, would look very blank at it until he saw a bit about people's arms being strewn around, because he does not like disfigurement. And he probably goes a bit more quiet after reading it and would put it solemnly down. It's like, sounds disturbing, but might be a load of bourgeois.
This person in the letter talks about it so quite casually, really. Did they not report it to the police? I suppose not, with the slaves and all, but...
That's a good question, Joe, but I don't know, the letter kind of just came up in some old papers Just digging around, but
Hmm.
it's given me a few nightmares after reading it. I'm not ashamed to say.
Can see why they didn't report it to the police. Chasms plunging beneath the town. Sounds, well, like a fairy story.
It's quite
None of those German ones.
devilish, almost. Really.
Hmm.
I'm sure it's an old man losing his mind.
Maybe he was boggled at the time.
Yeah, a good one, Joe.
Hasn't Miss Ray, it hasn't put you off exploring said tunnels. If we're going down there, thought of all this bloodshed in the past. If it is even true, and if it even is connected.
I've always known Josh was from Rumstock. Doesn't surprise me.
Well, yes, I was digging around Mr. Winscott's. Oh, I also had a similar thought that there'd be something dark there, but well, let's put the shiver up my spine. Not afraid to
Mhm.
say.
Well, I'm afraid to say, Mr. Butterthrop, whatever your name is.
Butterfield,
Butterfield. Sorry, I couldn't remember for a second there. I
you can
basically
call me
had a-
Milton.
No. This is me. I can't remember. She would remember. That I've known for a very long time what Josh is capable of, and let's just say that that letter doesn't give you any idea the half of it.
Wow. Well, let's just be on our watch, I suppose. Take things careful. I was thinking we should make sure we bring enough light for going underground, and maybe something to prop a tunnel up if we need to. Some good, hardy pieces of good timber. Some
I've got
tools.
some good tools in my taxi. We can use those. I've got some spare pieces of metal we could maybe use. Lights, not many lights. I've just got the one.
That's okay. I can bring one too, and I almost forgot. The wife baked these for all of you, and he'd get out some like brownies.
Oh, nice.
Okay,
Joe Brown's a good cook, so he'd appreciate that.
There you go.
okay, you get
Somehow
one
I
sec.
don't.
My compliments to Mrs. Butterfield. Lives up to her name. You know, the butter. You know what I mean.
She'll appreciate that, Augie. Thank you.
Oh, just give her my compliments as well. They are better than mine.
Can I offer you one as well, Miss Ray?
Why, thank you. I'd be honored.
She'll be most
Oh, yeah.
pleased. She's
You
very curious about you all.
Oh, you must get her to give me the recipe.
I think she might just share it. Would be surprised to hear a man asking after it. Pleasantly surprised, I'm sure, but she's
Um,
she's very curious, and I hope to bring her back some more stories with whatever we find.
Something tells me
no.
I'm not going to get a favorable report to Mrs. Butterfield.
Oh no, she's just happy I finally got someone around that shares my dislike of Josh.
Well, in that we are agreed, Mr. Butterfield. I must say, I must be coming off as rather cold, but there's a lot about me that you guys don't know.
I didn't wanna pry,
Well,
but
I'm sure things will all come out as they are supposed to, but let me just say it's not for no reason. And if you knew what had happened between myself and Josh over the years, well, let's just say none of you would have anything to do with him, and you'd be surprised that I was even sitting here.
I need no convincing, Miss Ray. He was tormented me in university in his way.
Not surprise me at all.
You have a history with him, Augie, right?
He like smarts himself up. He's like, the private is sort of stares off into the distance. A difficult man, but after seeing what he did at Passchendaele, pulling them men out of the mud, I haven't got a bad word to say about him.
I think he's quite an upstanding fella. He takes there's quite a conversationalist in the taxi.
Well, that's something. I know I'm coming from my own time, and I don't expect the rest of you to understand. But he was beastly. But I respect your opinions both. So, well, whatever happens, hopefully, it will be an interesting venture, and hopefully, this letter is just a fanciful imagining, like a writer or something.
I suppose we're gonna find out mighty soon.
I think on that note, the camera cuts away from Oggie's office and we rejoin our investigators at the foot of of the house on College Hill. And I'm really gassy. As the atmosphere is you're surrounded in this eerie stillness, you all notice there is no sign of Josh. And as you make your way inside, the hallway immediately inside has peeling wallpaper and creaking floorboards. It leads you to a dimly lit parlour. Moth-eaten curtains allow feeble light to filter through, casting peculiar shadows. The room is strewn with scattered tools hinting at unfinished projects. Continuing further, you come across a cluttered study filled with disorganized paperwork and scattered belongings. The air is thick with a scent of dust and neglect. From the study, you make your way to the kitchen. It feels cold and abandoned. From the kitchen, a set of worn wooden stairs descends into the dimly lit basement. The air grows cooler as you make your way down. Still no sign of Josh. Many of you call out to him, but there is no response. Eventually, you make your way down into the cellar. The flickering light from a single bulb reveals a labyrinth of storage shelves lined with forgotten household items covered in a thick layer of dust. As you navigate the maze of the basement, your attention is drawn to a cellar storage area tucked away in a secluded corner. You notice a cooling cup of coffee, a faint wisp of steam still rising from its surface. The aroma lingers in the air, suggesting recent activity. Nearby, you spot more tools that are scattered about. There are hammers with chipped edges, a worn chisel, and a coil of rope with dirt clinging to its fibres. The tools bear the marks of hard labour. The source of their use is now apparent. Bits of red brick and clay lie strewn about. Just beyond this peculiar scene, you see the hole that Josh described, large enough to walk through, revealing a brick-lined tunnel. It quickly branches out into what appears to be a wider, natural cavern. shrouded in darkness and mystery. How do each of you react now that you're in the basement and there is seemingly no sign of Josh anywhere in the house? However, there does seem to be this cooling cup of coffee.
Could Orky go up to a coffee and feel how warm it is?
It's warm to the touch. It's certainly not hot. Not hot enough to burn your fingers, but if Oggy were to place a finger into it, it would still be warm enough that steam's coming off of it.
You take a sip.
It's fresh.
Can't have been long since he was here. Maybe he's gone down into the tunnel.
But why would he go? What we meant to go? We were meant to go with him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was what the plan was to explore the tunnel together.
Why wouldn't he just wait for us? We weren't going to be long.
Maybe he was too fascinated. Maybe he knew some stuff we didn't. But to make a good point, Joe. Very perceptive of you.
I can be quite perceptive when I need to be. One time I was very perceptive of this lady. She left her bag in the back of my taxi. I'll leave this story for later. I'll tell you later.
I hope you gave it back.
Yes, I did. But it was a rather large bag. I don't know how she forgot it.
You'll have to tell us all about the bag later, Joe.
Oh, I will. I'll tell you the pattern on it as well. Quite an unusual pattern.
Milton's staring up at the like that larger opening in the tunnel, and is looking quite pale in the light, whatever light they have down there.
You
It's
definitely.
just like,
Sorry, go on.
he's just like, it's a whole other thing seeing it in person. Kind of shrinks back away from it.
How does Tala react?
She is sort of hanging back a little bit apprehensive.
Understandably. Can I have anyone who is, maybe particularly Milton, since he's the one most staring at the hole, can I have anyone else who would be sort of trying to sort of see where Josh might have went, make a track roll for me?
Oh yeah, easy peasy.
Yes, where's that? Track.
A failure for Oggy, failure for Milton, a failure for Joe. Would anyone like to
Save us, Tala?
Yeah, would Tala like to do one? She can if she wants.
Tala Rage.
Not really. She doesn't care where he's gone.
That's true.
Oh, that's fair enough. So I am going to say here, if anyone would like to push the roll, I will remind you that you can attempt to do something different. You describe to me how you might, like, you're just sort of giving a glance over this scene, but perhaps you start searching a bit more up close and personal with pushing the roll. So if anyone would like to push their roll, they're more than welcome to.
Remind me what pushing the roll. What's the negative of pushing the roll?
So if you push the roll, you get a free re-roll, just one. But if you fail, should anyone fail, they will have a guaranteed negative consequence. So failing a regular check doesn't necessarily mean there's any negative consequence. It just means you don't do what you were trying to do. So a good example in the investigator's handbook is that say if you were going up to a wall and you wanted to use your jump skill over it and you failed, just failing that check might just mean, in the context of role playing, that you looked up at the wall and you were like, I can't. Yeah, you didn't even necessarily even try. You just sort of looked up and you're like, I can't get up that. I can't climb up that using a climb roll or whatever. And pushing the roll might be like, okay, I'm going to make a running jump up and try and boost myself over. So, or something
Okay.
like that.
So, like, yeah, but
And
an
an
example of what would be bad about that?
example of negative like that, if you failed on the second reroll, then that would mean that something bad happens. So, for example, if you try to do a running jump up and you failed, you might end up falling on your back and taking a little bit of damage.
Okay. Right. So it just depends what you're doing, really, as well.
It does. It very much depends on the situation.
Okay. Well, I don't know if I want to push the roll, but I kind of want to look around, see if there's any other evidence of him being here, footprints in the dust or whatever.
Well, because you failed your track roll, it would require you to push the roll in this case.
I see.
Because that was your track roll really was to look for stuff like footprints and other things like that.
Okay, I thought we were just looking at the hole.
No, it was more. It was more to give an idea of where Josh might have gone. You don't have to push the roll though. It's completely up to you.
No.
I think Holgi wants to investigate the hole anyway. He wants to just go in.
Yeah, you could just go in. Milton, can I
Yep.
tempt you?
Milton will not be tempted, but he does because he's getting scared. He wants to go and get his baseball bat. Can he get his baseball
Absolutely, yeah.
bat? Yeah.
I will say Joe's got his gun from his taxi as well.
Yeah, anything you think you would have on you, then obviously you would have on you.
Got my bat. That's all I need.
Okay. Are you going to what? Are you doing? Are you going to venture into the tunnel?
Yeah, I think so. Well, Milton thinks that's the logical thing to do.
Yeah.
That's what we're here
Joe
for.
Joe tugs his cap on a bit tighter, pulls up his little lamp. Well, let's go see if we can find him, I suppose.
Okay. The descent begins, and I will move you over to following map. Turn it up a bit 'cause it's quite quiet. So, venturing deeper into the tunnel, your steps echo softly against the cold stone floor. That's a bit too loud now. There. Anticipation fills the air as your eyes scan the surroundings. Still too loud. It's like there, that's better. Curiosity is heightened. Moving steadily forward, you cover a distance of approximately 200 feet, driven by a almost insatiable urge to unravel the secrets of this tunnel and what lies hidden within. And then, as if guided by fate, a remarkable discovery unfolds before you. Just 10 feet away, from an opening on the south wall, you see ancient human remains materialize, illuminated by your torches, beckoning you closer. Among the scattered bones, you discern the remnants of 6 individuals, their stories intertwined with the fabric of time itself. The limbs of 3 of these individuals bear unmistakable marks of iron manacles, casting a shadow of intrigue upon the scene. How do you each react?
Is this fleshy or bony?
Definitely bony.
Okay, it's not so bad.
Mm.
Sounds a lot like your letter, Milton.
Slave? You think slaves?
Point at the manacles. Think so.
Well, this is
If anyone wants to, and
horrendous.
Oggy, you especially here, can either roll an archaeology or a history check. Just because you're just pointing out things. Yeah, you're just going on your base assumptions, which is fine.
Well, well, it's a discovery already, That's something.
Hmm.
Can Milton see if... Sorry, go on.
Okay.
Just gonna say, is there anything apart from the manacle marks? Is there anything discernible about the? Are there any differences? What poses are they in? Do they look like they're like huddled up? Did they die like spread eagled or?
Do a spot hidden roll.
Ooh. Hup. A success.
Oh,
You did it.
Just about.
So whilst they're not particularly displayed in any particular positions, but on examining them closely, you do know that there are tears and blood stains on the clothing itself.
Mm.
It's probably the most unique thing about them.
Can Augie try and identify? I don't know. If they died there. Is there any like old tracks to see if they were going one way or the other? Like if they were coming down the tunnel into the house or from the house to somewhere else?
I think. Do me a track check.
Shit.
You think that based on the fact you think these are slaves, Oggy, and your assumptions, that you think if any tracks, they would probably be just gone by this point.
Yeah.
Lost to time.
is there just one way to go? There's just one tunnel.
Mhm.
There's no like
Yeah.
splits off or anything.
It's not split
Yeah.
off so far. You can see though that at this point there is the tunnel continues onwards, and there's a southern wall. So to the south of you there is an opening on the south wall. So at this point it has you've gotten to a point where it is splitting off. So that's my mistake. So yeah. So you could either continue onwards or in fact if you're looking at now you're sort of looking around Joe, do me a spot hidden roll. Because you've noticed this southern wall, this opening.
No.
Failure.
I was just going to try and navigate towards whichever way the river might be, if there was a split.
Do me a navigate check. Failure as well. You're not sure which way the river might lie from here. You're a bit disorientated being underground.
Difficult to navigate down here. I wasn't expecting that. I did look at the map quite thoroughly.
It's easy to get turned around. There's no landmarks, but at least we've got something of a landmark now.
That's true. Well, who's going first?
I'll go first. I'm used to leading courageous men and women.
So are you stepping through the southern opening, or are you heading on westward?
You go south. Why not?
Okay, if anyone's going south, apart from Joe, do me spot hidden rolls.
Yeah, Milton's following. Oggy.
Ooh, an
extreme
success for Oggy. Very good. Oggy, as you step through the southern wall, your keen senses, you look down and you spot that there is a stub of a Turkish cigar on the floor.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. He'd pick it up, give it a sniff, be like, "Josh has been here all right. This is his Turkish cigar. I told him not to smoke him."
You think he's gone this way, or do you think he turned back, maybe?
I think he's gone down there. And if he's in trouble, well, I owe him one, so...
Oh, you think he's in trouble?
I don't
Joe
know, it's
will
pretty...
pull his gun out.
If he sees Joe pull his gun out, he pull his gun out as well. It's like, We always got to be prepared. That's what they say in the
Yeah.
Scouts, right?
Yeah, just keep a good eye out for any danger. You know,
Milton
you've got to
would
be
hold up
really
his
careful.
So I will explain something to you since you both pulled your guns out. This is a cool thing to know. In combat, initiative, you don't really roll for your initiative in Call of Duty Combat. You just, the highest dex to lowest dex is how it goes. However, when you've got a ready gun, you can add 50 to your initiative.
Damn, nice.
If as you're going to make a shot as your first thing on your turn. I believe you have to do the shot on the first turn, otherwise.
What about ready with the baseball bat?
That would not give you a plus 50, no.
Which Milton is basically hugging right now.
Yeah.
The wife's not gonna believe this.
I don't think he's in any danger, but he could be lost down there.
Well, his coffee's getting cold.
I've already drunk his coffee. Don't worry about that.
Alright.
So, Oggy, as you find this thing and stepping through this southern opening, you find yourself, after a few more steps, that the slope is now descending along a downward passage. The corridor at this point begins to twist and turn, enticing you to venture further into the unknown. After covering a distance of about half a mile, descending a depth of what Joe, with his keen navigation skills, discerns as maybe a depth of about 200 feet, a curious sight awaits you as you round a bend. There, before your eyes, a steady dim light casts its ethereal glow, teasing your senses. Nervously, you press on as the passage straightens out and the light ahead gradually intensifies, its source remaining shrouded in mystery. With each step, the anticipation swells within you, propelling you forward. And then, as if unveiling a secret, the passage abruptly opens up, revealing an awe-inspiring sight. Before you lies an enormous chamber, illuminated by the soft glow of phosphorescent lichen.
Oh, shit.
A wave of unease washes over each of you. The walls, adorned with intricate carvings, emanate an unsettling aura. There are towering columns here that stretch towards the ceiling, casting eerie shadows. The carvings are covered in lichen, but bear the scars of time's passage. Alas, a section of the eastern wall lies in ruins, obliterating any trace of its former glory. There's a real sense of foreboding pervading the air here. Each of you can make an archaeology roll, if you'd like, as you stare at these carvings.
Augustus would, but he'd also look at Milton and he's like, Milton, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, Milton is like sweating profusely.
Yeah.
I don't know, Augie, but I don't like it much at all. I feel far from Jesus' good grace right now.
Don't worry, he's always got you in embrace, brother.
I think
I
I'm
hope so.
gonna hear about this at the bar.
What about Tala? Is she going to make an
Oh,
archaeology
shit,
check?
archaeology.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone's just like, ooh.
Tala is like getting visibly nervous. You can see that she's getting like quite flushed and agitated, and it's like, I don't understand what's going on. And she's just sort of like muttering to herself, like, I don't understand. What is this place?
Feel right here.
You see there is a passage that leads further on. What would you like to do? You can see these carvings upon the walls.
Augie is going to look nervously, so stick together, everyone. And he's going to try and see if he can see any sign of Josh, like any more cigar stubs or anything like that.
Roll me a track check. No, you're
We
struggling.
Yeah, we're
You
not
look at
many passes going on.
the floor, you look down, you see there's footprints all over, and you're like, wait, these are our footprints. Fuck, I can't
Oh.
deal with this stress.
Well, maybe we should just call out to him. Maybe he'll hear us now.
Josh!
Private, you better get out of here. We're gonna have to reprimand you.
There's the
Can-
writing. You said there's writing on the
Yeah, there's
markings on the columns.
yes, there's carvings all over them.
What do they look? Milton's gonna peer at one.
Okay. So you move a little bit closer to one of the carvings, and as you look quite close, Milton, you see that, shining your torch upon them, you see that they're almost like cave paintings, but like carved into the wall itself, and you see that there are almost images that look like snakes. Some of them are enormous, like really big, carved in these like huge, like winding of a sort of serpent motif. Atop, you also notice that on the head of the serpent, there's like a white, what looks like a crescent shaped sort of. It's like carved out deeper. Appears, and you look around. There's more snakes, each with a sort of crescent shape carved into the head. There's also like spirals, zigzags, abstract geometric designs. You're not sure what any of it means.
Doesn't look like anything I've seen before. Snakes and swirls and all sorts. Carvings of a maniac.
No, keep it calm. We all know the private is maybe a brave man, but he's not a smart man. Maybe it's some kind of joke. Maybe he found this place and wanted to scare us.
With squiggles and swirls. They're not very scary, but gibberish.
I don't know, I can understand him wanting to play a practical joke on us three, but you, Joe, you're just a taxi driver. Why'd he do this to you? An honourable, upstanding businessman.
Well, I like a good practical joke, me, but this is a bit much.
It's a lot of effort flying us out here just to. Keep calm, everyone.
That would be quite the joke.
Stick together. Joe, you got your gun. Milton, you got your bat. Your goddamn Yankee bat.
Yeah, he nod enthusiastically and clutch the bat tight.
You better hit a home run if anything weird happens. He looks over at Tala. He's like, "Did you bring anything to defend yourself, girl?"
You'd see her panic and like shake her head.
Oh, well. Wait, I'll just check his inventory.
What about you could use this? And he gives her a big spanner.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
He is the spanner.
Yeah. Bring him round.
Milton wants to nudge some of the lichen with his bat.
Yeah, if you nudge the lichen, it reacts as you expect lichen might.
Okay.
Ooh.
With that, he's gonna reach and pick some up in his hand.
Yeah, as you hold it in your hand, it feels almost it's sort of like almost slightly wet to the touch. Feels like sort of like moss, like how moss feels. It's like wetness and almost a slight warm to it.
So the symbols were snakes and swirls.
Like weird geometric shapes, and what stood out to Milton was like a snake motifs, and then like in the head of the snake there's like a crescent shape.
There's no like evidence of actual snakes around, is there?
No, not from what you can see.
I really want Oggy to get his camera out, but he definitely wouldn't have brought his camera.
Well, it's the perfect time. When something like this happens, you think that someone wouldn't have bought something. You can make a luck roll to see if you happen to just pack it in without realizing.
Yeah, but it'd be huge. That's the thing, because it's 1923.
It's true.
True.
Do you think he would have had a backpack? He might have accidentally left it in there.
I'll roll a luck, and maybe if he was feeling fancy, he would have wanted to. If he felt a flight of fancy, he would have taken it.
Yeah, roll
Because he is into it.
Roll me an old luck check. Yeah,
Ooh.
it's a success.
Ooh.
Well, he did happen to bring his camera with him.
Nice.
Gonna set it up. He's like, we don't want anyone thinking we're completely insane. I'm just gonna get a quick shot of this. So when we get out of here, you got a good story to tell at the bar, right, Joe?
Oh, that's a very interesting story right now. It's getting even interesting by the minute.
You have this to back it up.
Oh, exactly. Let me help you light it up. And he holds his light torch over the symbols.
Yeah, you try and find the most interesting part and take a picture of it.
Yeah, you could easily get a picture of In fact, let's might as well use the photography skill. Let's see how good a picture you managed to get.
Yeah, because I imagine it's pretty dark in here, right?
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Oh, nice.
I mean, you don't know yet how good it is, but I mean, with a success, you can assume that it's decent.
Yeah, he'd take the negative and put it in his bag. And he's like, oh.
So it's it's like the proper like the
Yeah.
Flash thing, right?
Yeah.
They're all like blinded for a second.
Would the lichen react in any way to the big flash?
No, it wouldn't. No.
Okay.
Does the lichen glow? You said it was phosphorescent.
Yes, it is phosphorescent.
Oh wow. Milton would be like, maybe we've discovered a new kind of lichen. You could name it.
Round lichen. Oh, that's the thing with that.
All roll me spot hidden rolls as apart from Oggy, because he's focusing on the camera, but the rest of you, as the big light of the flash lights up the room, you might notice something.
I have failed.
Same for
No.
Joe and Tala as well.
Sorry, I'm just struggling with the character sheets a little bit still.
That's all right. Take your time.
Fail.
All fails, you don't notice.
Womp womp. Too afraid.
Yeah, the light just lights up the room for a second and then plunged back into darkness.
Wait, what was it, Natalie?
Guess you'll never know.
You could push the roll.
You could push the roll, indeed.
How do I push the roll
So,
again?
it would be a re-roll, but if you fail the roll, a guaranteed negative thing will happen.
Oh,
So it's a
But
risk.
You could succeed.
fuck it, yeah, why not?
Okay. Oh, let's push it.
No!
Oh, it is a failure.
No.
So the blinding light of Oggy's camera suddenly catches Tala off guard. Can you please make a dex check for me, please, Tala?
And what happens if I don't?
And you automatically fail.
Yeah.
Then the bad thing never happens.
Everyone's got a success. I checked. This session.
One
I'll do it
Yeah.
when I can figure out how to do
It'll be
it.
one of the stats at the top of the sheet with dex. will
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Dexterity.
be a success.
Hey!
So you only take, in this case, so you would
Now you get
take
success, Carla.
Oh,
1 point of damage as it catches you off guard and you slightly lose your footing, and you see Tala sort of stumbles down and sort of grazes her knee on the floor.
Yeah, but can somebody else do it as well? Because I really want to know what it was that we were supposed to see now.
Well, everyone did, and they all well, I suppose they could push the roll, but
That's what I mean. Can everyone push the roll, please?
You want me to fall over?
I don't want to
Yeah.
raise my knee.
I have got 45.
Damn it.
My luck is 13.
Oh well.
you got 13
fine.
luck. Amazing.
See.
But I can just re-roll for like a guaranteed negative, right?
Yeah. Pushing the roll is not anything to do with luck itself. Luck is something you can spend.
Well, shit.
Jesus Christ.
Oh,
you
wow.
pushed it.
so close.
Could he push it? No, could
He
you
has
Can I
pushed
use
it.
luck for this one?
You cannot use luck on a pushed roll.
Oh.
Literally
That's
one away.
yeah. So yes, in this case, Tala not only falls over but falls into Milton,
Oh, Miss Ray!
causing him to go crashing down as well. Can you also make a dex check for me, Milton?
Oh, yeah, great, dude.
A failure as well.
Imagine Milton going over there and trying to catch her so she doesn't fall
Yeah.
on her knee.
I got you, Miss Ray!
So you do take 2 points of damage as you falls back and you crunk land harsh on your tailbone into the rock.
Oh, the old butt bone. The old Jesus bone.
Yeah.
Sorry, Miss Ray, I thought I had you there.
That's okay. But could you please get off me? I can't breathe.
Yep, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Where's Yankee? Oh, there's Yankee. Oh no, my dog's called Yankee. He'd call his bat Babe, like Babe Ruth.
Amazing.
Where's Babe?
Better than
Well-
any monster.
Have you got your pictures, Miss Oggy?
Yeah, I got one. Yeah, I got the negatives in my bag, so I'll develop them when I get back to the old slop house. I'll give it to you, Joe. Don't worry.
Well, I would like to see it. It's very interesting. But should we continue down the scary cave?
I think. Well, if a private's gone down there, we're braver men than him. We can go down there too. And he put his camera away. But I'm keeping this out. Keeps his gun up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Joe Brown does as well.
So as you proceed further into the cavern's depths, dampness fills the air, and there's nurturing stalactites, stalagmites, and curious cave formations shaped by water's ancient dance. Soft glow continues to emanate from the lichen, illuminating a realm where fungi thrive upon walls, ceilings, and floors. There's generations of growth that blanket the ground in a velvety loam, while treacherous moisture lingers, creating slippery patches and enigmatic pools. Fallen rocks and collapsed passages obstruct corridors, and these serpent-like carvings and cryptic geometric inscriptions continue along worked bits of rock into the wall. Can I have oh, sorry, go on, Oggy.
Just for we've been in this tunnel a while, and it's deep and it's big.
Yeah.
It's quite difficult to believe that this is a slave tunnel at this point, right? It's so deep underground, and
I think that's a logical step to jump to, yeah. Can I have everyone now? You've as Augie said, you've been in the caverns for a little while now. Everyone can make a science check for me. If you've got geology as well, that would be you'd get a bonus die to it.
What's that?
A bonus die, I'll explain. You can get bonus or penalty dies, which basically means it's sort of like advantage and disadvantage, but it's only on the tens of the D100. So, for example, if in that previous roll, if Milton rolled a 46, if he had a bonus die, he'd roll another tens of the percentage, And if he rolled a 2, then he'd get a 26 rather than a 46.
Don't think that's on the character sheet.
I think you have to, once it's rolled, maybe you can roll a bonus or a penalty die. I think you can click on the roll. So, for
But I
example...
don't think it's on
Well,
here.
No, it's not.
Science. So I can't see science on there.
Oh,
No,
science
there's
not
no
on there.
science.
Well, you may not have...
There's
cer-
natural world.
Yeah, certain skills you are hidden skills, so you may not have science. So let's say instead then natural world will be fine. I'm allowed natural world.
Oh, critical success, Oggy!
Nice.
On a
Ooh,
10.
Very nice. Holy shit. So
Oh, got
Oh,
close.
I also forgot to tell you. This may require a little bit of scrolling. In fact, I'll scroll for you. On your character sheet, next to the skills, you'll see there's a little thing you can tick off and on.
Oh yeah.
I think if
Oh,
they should all be off by default. But when you get a success in a skill for the first time, you can click that on. So if I go through quickly and just tell you what you've had a success in. So I'll go Oggy first. Well, I'll go through them as I go. So Oggy, you can put a tick next to your natural world.
Mm-hmm.
Tal, no wait, that's dexterity. You don't get one against that. You can Oggy can also get one against photography.
Oh, nice.
You can also get one against spot hidden, Oggy. Milton could also put one against spot hidden.
Yeah.
And Tala can also put one against dodge. Make sure you do that because it is important.
To do put a what? Sorry, against.
So-
I'm not sure how I'm doing this.
So if you see on the skills, you see this little circle next to each skill.
Yeah.
If you click on that circle, it will light up.
Yeah.
So for you, just click it on dodge. Yeah, perfect. Yeah. And you can do that for every time you're successful in a skill for the first time during a scenario. A scenario I will tell you when they end, because it might be slightly longer than a session. Usually 1 or 2 sessions, though.
Past one thing this whole game, and it was the alcohol.
Yeah. So a natural world check for Oggy gets a natural. So, Oggy, you start to sort of look over this rock, and based on your time in the war and seeing, hiking in different parts of the world, you get the impression that these work structures are really old. And I think he's already coming to this conclusion where he's like, this isn't slave tunnels. This is something more. This is work structures created over the course of a long time, maybe millennia. And you get the impression that these might be millions of years old. And such a realization is a shock. Can you please make me a sanity roll?
Ooh.
Oh shit.
It is a failure. You take 1 sanity loss.
Mhm.
Nice.
No.
Okay.
As you're moving through these caverns, as Oggy has this realization, I need you all to tell me how. Are you choosing to move fast or are you choosing to move slow?
Regular.
Average.
No, it has to be fast or slow. You're telling me faster or slower.
I think Milton would definitely be nudging into people to move fast. He's connecting the idea of it's like a panic kind of fast. He wants to get out.
Yeah.
Of there.
Yeah, I think I agree. Like you want to get out of a place, you go
Well,
faster, right?
Panic fast.
Yeah, I'll give you trying to move slow, but because everyone keeps nudging into him, and he's trying to be brave, so he'd pick up the pace.
You can move different speeds if you want to.
He wants to just try and stay with everyone, so
Okay.
his natural urge is slow, but he'd be going fast.
And what about Tala? Are you moving slow or fast?
Fast. She
Okay.
is getting nervous.
Everyone needs to make a dex roll then.
No.
Well, let's go. He was a skate
That
boy.
needs to kill us.
Oh, you could do your thing, Hannah,
My
Yeah.
thing.
with the sanity thing. You could almost pass.
So you could. So you both could, if you chose to, spend luck
Have a luck
points
thing,
here.
yeah.
So you're
Oh,
only
luck.
4 points away, Joe. So you could spend 4 points of luck to put you up to
Yeah.
a success.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I've got 80 luck anyway. It's quite a lot, right? So
It is. So you
Are you sure?
same for you, Oggy. If you wanted to
I
spend
think
10.
Oggy would. He doesn't want to fall over.
Yeah. So spend that 10 luck and push it up to a success. Otherwise, you all get a success.
do I just edit it into whatever it
Yes.
is?
Yeah. Just take away that amount.
Ooh. Whoops.
So you move faster, pushing each other up apart, and then you slowly begin to enter a more narrow passage. You find yourself immersed in a chamber that stretches long and twists further into the unknown. Elaborate carvings adorn the walls here, an intricate tapestry of ancient craftsmanship. Like before, there are the same serpent motifs, geometric patterns, but also a series of mesmerizing murals. The murals depict vivid landscapes, adorned with towering structures that punctuate the horizon. Robed figures, serpentine in form, engage in enigmatic pursuits, their intentions veiled in mystery. Some scenes capture their worship of a colossal serpent, distinguished by a crescent symbol gracing its forehead. Others portray harrowing encounters as the serpent people and their grand cities face onslaughts from colossal reptilian adversaries. Yet, as the murals reach their conclusion, a chilling revelation unfolds. The scenes portray a war devoid of victors, where no triumphant faction emerges from the chaos. Instead, a haunting transformation takes hold of the serpentine figures and their once thriving cities. As the narrative unfolds, the serpentine figures, gripped by a nameless dread, abandon their once proud cities to an enigmatic, shapeless entity. A black mark, like a scorch upon the carvings, consumes the scenes, resembling the haphazard scribbling of a child. And yet, this formless presence instills profound fear within the serpent folk, compelling them to forsake their homes above the surface. They embark on a treacherous migration, seeking solace underground, where a new homeland takes root beneath the earth's embrace. The murals convey a tale of despair and desperate survival, where the fates of both conquerors and conquered are entwined in a dance of darkness and metamorphosis. The serpent's folks' flight from their once beloved lands hints at the unrelenting power and terror wielded by the inscrutable force that drove them into the depths. I need everyone to make an intelligence roll for me.
Oh yeah.
God, I want to fail this, though. Oh, thank fuck.
Fail.
Intelligent.
It's good. We don't understand it.
Oh yeah.
Success.
Natural one, baby.
So, looking upon this, Milton and Tala, you look upon and you're like, those are dinosaurs they're fighting. This is... It suddenly comes across you how ancient this truly is. I need you both to make sanity rolls for me.
Oh, fucking hell.
Wait, me and Tom, sorry.
Yes, both you and Milton.
No.
Milton
I wouldn't
recognises his
even-
favourite dinosaur.
It's a velociraptor!
Success for Tala. Tala takes
Yeah.
no points of sanity loss. Milton, however, and you cannot spend luck on sanity points, so also takes a further 1 point of sanity lost.
I'm
And
not
with
sure how I feel about this campaign.
and on that note, as you have come across this great and incredibly worked tapestry upon the wall, we will end tonight's session there.
Snakes frighten lizards. Doesn't that always happen anyway?
I love the thought that Milton's really religious, so he sees dinosaurs, he's like, "You're not real!" No, Jesus! Damn.
I hope you all enjoyed your first session of Cthulhu.
Dinosaurs.
Good.
Yeah.
We're on the ground.
It'd be nice if I could pass something. But yeah.
You will,
Otherwise, yeah.
well, I will tell you that in between scenarios, it's not the end of every session, but you will get chance. All the skills you did pass, you will get chances to improve at. So
I
hopefully,
didn't pass any.
no. So you have to keep rolling some more to see if you can pass them.
Yeah. That was good though.
Yeah.
Like the atmosphere, I like everyone's characters.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I really enjoyed your guys' roleplay.
It's scary.
Yeah.
It is.
Let me get my camera out.
Setting up the tripod. Milton's just like, "That's a fancy piece of kit you got there, Augie."
Falls over.
Yeah, falls over.
Definitely a different vibe from D&D, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I
I'm
love
curious what Hannah and Anya think the most, because obviously Kieran and Tom have played one session, although it's quite different from the session you played.
it. Yeah.
I like the not. I like all the not combat. What's the opposite of combat? RP. That's it.
Mm.
Yeah. A lot of RP
Sorry,
going on. Very different.
I like it. But also, I'm like, I'm gonna do a spell. No, I'm not. But I can get my no, I can't.
Yeah.
What
man.
are Tala's, like, Milton's good at throwing stuff. He's good at throw, and he's moderately good at some other stuff. He's good at listening and mechanical repair. What's Tala good at? What are her high
Taking
numbers?
down middle-aged men for money.
What are her high numbers in her skills?
She's very good at her own language.
Oh yeah, me too.
And fast.
Congratulations, doll.
She's got really good fast talk. She's got 65 in fast talk.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh,
I'll be
that's
useful
nice.
against the
50
dinosaurs.
and 55 in charm. 40 in acting. She's really good at some of this stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Good.
She's actually-
All the things I'm terrible at.
You
then.
got really good at history. 59 history.
Oh no, I am good at history. I'll take that.
Yeah.
But
75 sleight of hand. Really good.
Mm.
but
Joe
not-
Brown is good at driving, mechanical repair, listening, and navigating. That's it.
Perfect show, really.
That's all he needs. Ever.
That's all he needs. So he's a little bit good at handguns actually. He's got 50 in handgun.
Oh yeah. Milton's
And
good
first
at
aid,
brawl. First aid's potentially good.
what,
Feel
40 in first aid?
Fix my tailbone.
I feel in combat, everyone's going to rely on Oggy. He has 85 in handguns.
I
Nice.
think combat is going to be Milton pissing himself and running away. Are you kidding me? Some
Yeah.
fucking eldritch dinosaur comes out of the wall. He's like,
Augie's gonna be
Right
like
up the hills.
just at the front while everyone runs away, just shooting pot shots at them.
Yeah, firing wildly. Bang, bang, bang.
Joe's only got a gun for like protection in his taxi. He doesn't really use it.
Hard to miss the backseat of a taxi.
Exactly, you know? It's only got one target.
I love the thought
You
of
know.
everyone running away and Oggie's just like, well, too fat to run away.
Yeah, pretty much.
Time to make my stand. Oh god. Scary. Fucking scary.
I'm glad it is reflected.
That
Where's
first
Josh?
room was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Where are we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scary tunnel, but an interesting tunnel.
Why did he go in the tunnel on his own?
Because he's dumb.
And there were people with manacles and stuff. So were they slaves in the tunnels? And also the letter with the people being killed and the women being missing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What the
Well,
hell?
I will say you never explored down the west path.
Yeah.
You went, so
Yeah. True.
maybe that went. Maybe that was used for slaves, and this is something else.
Oh.
Josh, where are you? Josh, are you a lizard person?
Straight into the heart of darkness.
Yep. The fuck are we gonna do if we go into a room and there's just like a black void there, like a fucking eldritch black
Fucking
void?
Dude,
Run
fast
away.
walk
Fuck, okay.
Nice. I'm gonna get my sanity out through my ears so fast. I only started with 30. I'm not a robust man.
it.
Insanity. How much insanity has everyone got?
49.
49.
How much did people lose in total this session?
I didn't lose any.
I lost 1.
I do need to write this down because it tracks in scenarios.
You
I'll
rolled
put it.
a d6 and rolled 2, but you said I lost
It's
1.
a D3.
Oh, okay.
It's just because
So, yeah.
I'm somehow on 65 out of 99 sanity points, and I don't know how that happened.
you don't
The-
start at 99.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then I don't think I lost any, but
Yeah.
No, I think
yeah.
did you? Yeah, you passed
It
your
was
sanity
me
check.
and Oggy that I think that lost.
Yeah, I lost 1.
Yeah,
I've
we're
written
very
it in
close.
my character sheet.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm on 29.
10, right, in the scenario? No, 19. Indefinite
What's-
insanity, right?
That's indefinite.
yeah.
Yeah. So if you lose
How'd
9,
how'd you use the indefinite?
so if you lose that many sanity points over the course of one scenario, you go indefinitely insane. If you lose
Oh.
5 sanity all at in one go, you become temporarily insane.
Which my guy did in our one shot.
Yes, you did.
He had a bad time.
Yeah.
Yeah. We haven't reached the really scary things yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, still got a lot more to come. There's a lot more to come actually. I thought we'd get through more than this, but yeah, it was just some
Yeah,
really good role
role-playing.
playing, which is great.
Role playing. Lots of role playing.
I
Fucking-
love Joe Brown.
Yeah.
Can't wait to tell the boys down the bar about this.
Yeah.
Anna's not going to believe this when I tell her.
Exactly. I'm going to show them the pictures as well. We're going to be having a great time at the bar. The centre of attention.
Picture's just gonna come back and it's just gonna be a cave and he's gonna be like, what?
Yeah.
Boys at the bar.
what? I saw.
Oh my god.
So good.
That's good though.
That's awesome.
I'm
Super
glad. We will do the next session in 2 weeks' time.
2 weeks.
Nice.
Perfect.
On the Wednesday or Thursday?
I
Does
will,
it depend?
I'll check my schedule and then I'll let you know.
Okay.
Bye. But I've got just, Joe Brown's very good at driving. He's got 90 in driving, just so everyone knows.
Amazing.
You should be like, I want to take my car down the tunnel.
Yeah, I literally thought that. Like, get a taxi down here.
Hey, if it fits.
Definitely would not.
Right, I'm going now. Bye,
put
bye,
some
bye.
notes.
Everyone.
I put some
Thanks,
thin
Natalie.
notes for the session in the notes.
No, no.
Oh, thank you, Tom. I appreciate that.
Bye.
Bye.
Night, everyone.
See you
Bye.
later, everyone. Bye.
It makes me laugh that it just says dinosaurs. What?